Hey guys, Project OverKill is back in the garage and I am so excited to be making Camaro videos again. If you've been subscribed to this channel for any length of time, you know there hasn't been much progress made on this car, but for now the car is back and I plan to stay on it pretty much until we can complete it. It's time to get this car done. With all that said, this project right here, Project Sally, has really consumed a lot of my time for the past several years. That's always been a dream car of Miss Sammy's. Speaking of Project Sally, we just released our 9th video on that car. There is a complete playlist on the channel and I'll put it at the end of this video. It would really help us out if you'd go check that project out. It's been a fun little project. We left off working on the doors of Project OverKill, and as you can see right there, that is the original passenger door, and that door actually fits the car really good and it's in really good shape. You can see it's in primer, and we've got a pretty good door gap on it. The other side is a different story. This is actually a borrowed door from Project FastTimes, and it does fit pretty good, but the original door, if you remember, was really dented, and the shell had a lot of rot in it. And when I started working on this car, it was before you could actually buy the doors for these cars. And now you can buy a complete door, and that's probably the way to go versus skins, because the skins are just so labor intensive. You can see we've got a skin over here for Project FastTimes, and you can really get a look at this skin to see what all needs to be done. You can see this one's already prepped out. It's been epoxied. It's had lizard skin sound deadening applied. It's got the weld through primer and all the spot weld holes drilled out. And there's the shell for it. Again, we showed you guys how to do all that. We've showed you how to prepare the shell and get it in epoxy, and really makes a good product, but it is labor intensive. So just a little refresher, since it has been so long since we have worked on Project OverKill. Again, the doors is kind of where we left off, and like I said, I needed a driver's door. So my original plan was to skin the passenger side, get my feet wet, and then I could worry about the driver's side, which is the one I really need. Now, I have NOS door skins, and I got a little nervous because they are actually really pricey and they're kind of hard to come by, and I didn't want to mess them up. This is actually the first time of skinning a door, and a lot of people's kind of got in my head saying that you know, you can't really skin these doors without messing them up. You know, it's better off just to buy new ones. So after thinking about the NOS door skins, I jumped over to Project FastTimes where we have the reproductions, and I thought, you know, no big deal if I mess that up because you can buy them all day long. But then once I got all the work done with that, I realized how labor intensive it was, and I really needed that door skin for that car. So I've come to this Plan C, and I'm about to show you that right now. Plan C is just a door skin, the cheapest one I could find, ordered online, with just a door shell with minimum prep. You can see here this shell is actually in really bad shape. I'm not worried about the shell part of it. I'm just looking to get some experience with the tools on folding over the hem flange. I did go through and do minimum prep for the plug welds and the weld through primer, blasted some areas just to remove some rust. This door shell doesn't even have the metal plates, so we can't even really bolt this up to a car. But like I said, this is just to get some experience and see how it goes. I've got some new tools that I've never used that I'm wanting to try, and I'll get into that as we begin work. So you guys might notice I'm wearing the Paintucation t-shirt. One of my favorite projects on YouTube, the G28 Camaro. This is by Kevin Tetz. Go check his channel out. I think most everybody watches my channel probably watches his, But it's called the Garbage Camaro, and that's where you get the G28 at. It's really a cool project, and I really enjoy watching that car come to life. Most of you are probably familiar with his Z Sled project, which was a really cool build that I think he worked with Eastwood on that build several years ago. That's actually a picture of his Mustang that he did with Eastwood as well. So go check Kevin's channel out. Tell him Double R sent you. I'll put a link in the description below. Let's get started on this door skin. So, as I mentioned a little earlier, I've got this old door just kind of sitting here. I've got some clamps. I've got some paint sticks so that I don't dent the surface. And you can also notice I've taped up with cardboard all the holes that are in the top of the door. The reason for that is this kind of becomes a table, and you may be setting whatever on tops, and when you're hammering this flange over, you've got a dolly or something sitting up there, all this is going to be vibrating. The last thing you want is for this to drop in one of those holes and dent your brand new skin from the back side. So I went ahead and put a piece of cardboard over it just to prevent that. Give you guys a look at the paint sticks, and like I said, that's just to protect the new skin. You can see right here on these second gen F bodies, the top of the door frame just basically gets tack welded to the top of the skin, and these orange clamps work really good to hold them in place. I did end up having to use a pretty heavy duty clamp right here just because this area of the door is so strong, and to pull it up to the door skin really took quite a bit of force. And this is something that you would weld last once you tried it on the car. And we'll have to move some of these out of the way as we get to folding over the hem flange. Like I said, this is just going to be for practice to get my feet wet before I commit to the door skins that I actually need. We're going to do all 4 doors, 2 for Project OverKill, and then 2 for Project FastTimes. And these doors, if you buy them new right now, are about $700 and some a piece. That's not counting if you have to ship them. So that can add up really quick. Again, if you're trying to do this as far as, you know, for a customer or something, this is very labor intensive to grind the old skins off, repair any rust, do your blasting, and then put everything back in epoxy and do all the prep work to get the skin ready to go. It's just a lot of work. And not only that, but I've also restored all of the door internals that go inside these doors, and it's just a lot of work when it comes to the doors on these second gen Camaros. It don't really seem like it would be that much until you really get into it, but it is a lot. Talk a little bit about our table. I thought about doing this on the conventional panel stand with the 2 bars. These doors are so heavy, though, I was worried about putting 2 rows of dents all the way across the skin. So what I've done, I've just got my roll table, and these are just foam mattress toppers for like a twin bed that I've got sitting on a piece of cardboard that I've set the door on. And what my thinking behind that is, on these F-body doors, you only got the 2 sides and the bottom. So my thinking is that I can pull the door to whatever side that I'm working on, fold over that flange, same thing over there, and then we can scoot it back enough to get in here with the hammer and dolly and fold over the bottom. I've got several tools, hammers and dollies and such. We'll go over that as we get to using them, as well as a couple of pneumatic tools that I want to share with you. I've never used them, so I don't know what to expect, but I'll give you my thoughts on them. That's what this is for. This is for practice. I've got my measurement, my reference sheet here. Before I even took this skin off of this door frame, I made some points of reference as far as where they're at. And you've got 2 body lines. I've got those lined up, and the measurements seem to check out. This door skin is on the right location for this frame, and we're just going to take our time with it and see how it goes. So I'm going to start off by slowly starting to bend the flanges over, and to do that I'm just going to use my traditional hammer and a block of wood. I saw Juby use this on his video from Amazing Metal Works, and I've also saw Rick at Carthage Classic Cars use a block of wood. This is just a piece of 2x3 that I took the edges off, and so there's no sharp edges, and should work really good. I've also got a couple of encapsulated dollies that I think will work good. This one is one that has a lot of mass to it. It's called a Crossman dolly, and I found it on eBay several years ago. This one's just called a soft dolly, and it's encapsulated. It's not near as heavy as the Crossman. And this particular one is another one that's really small, and it may be good to getting into those corners where the front of the door rolls up to the fender. It's not very heavy, so I don't know how it'll work, but we'll see. Again, that's the point of this. So I'm going to get some PPE on, and then we'll get to folding over this flange. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start on the back part of the door here. I've got it slid over off the edge here, and I think it's going to be stable enough that we can work on it like that. I did have to remove the clamp that I had over here just so I could get it to scoot over on this side. One thing about it, you better have some strong forearms because they're going to get tired when you're bending over this flange. Now, something that I've noticed just on this first side, I kind of wish I didn't have these holes drilled into the flange. These are 1/4 inch holes, which is a little big. I actually opened them up before I started to fold them over, and it's kind of hurt me, so I won't be doing that on the ones that we're going to be needing. There's 3/16 on the others. You don't really have a lot of flange on these reproductions, and where the flange is so short and basically the plug well hole is right to the edge, it's caused it to dimple just a little bit, and it's transferred onto the other side. You can see it. It's not bad, and it could be fixed if we was using this. Like I said, it just definitely don't want that on something that we're going to be using. Let me bring you in for a closer look. You can see here how the holes that I drilled are pretty big, and you can see how it kind of deformed as it was folding over at each one of them. So, and you can see what a difference that one is, where it's a little bit more closer to that edge versus the actual door edge. So that's something to look out for, and we'll see if this will show up. But you can definitely see a little dimple there, and there's one right there, there's one right there, and then another one right in there. But like I said, this probably hammer and dolly this a little bit more and take a file and file it, and it would be okay. This is in the very beginning of this stage, but this is something I'll have to watch for when I go to do my others. Like I said, I did open these up just a little bit, and you can see on these reproduction flanges, they just don't give you a lot. So I'm not going to mess with these holes. I'll leave them at 3/16. And actually, if I had it to do over again, I probably wouldn't even put the holes in there. I would just come through and just do some stitches along this edge to the door frame. I think it's just going to fold over a lot nicer without the holes. But you know, if I had this to do again, that's what I would do. As you can see, I'm coming up to the corner here, so I'm gonna work this edge down now. And then I've got a tool that I want to try here, and I want to see what it does. All right, so you want to work on your corners as you're folding them over, and kind of dress them so that way they won't bunch up on you and run in together. It really feels pretty good. Like I said, except for where the holes are at, it kind of, you know, dented the metal on the other side when it folded over. Okay guys, so I measured the flange on those original doors with the set of calipers, and up here in the top it's about 160 thousandths. Down here it was about 180 thousandths, and then right in this area it was 205 thousandths. Of course, those have paint on them and that one's actually a finished door with paint and clear. This is a DS 1000 tool made by Pneumatics, and I've seen Juby use one of these and Rick use one, and basically it's just basically a hammer basically, and you just run it along the edge of the door skin, and basically you want to tilt it upwards, keep it tilted in as you're going through here, so this piece doesn't hang up on the door skin. We're going to give that a try. Let me see where we're at right now. We're almost there. We're just a little bit. This is folded over by hand, and it is almost there. In that spot right there, it is there. But I'm just going to run it through there one time just to get the feel of it. And like I said, we'll see how it does. It may be not needed at this point, but like I said, I want to try it and see, and I'll give you my thoughts. So one other thing on this DS1000, it is adjustable, and you can see I've slid this back some. So basically you can, if you want a tighter fold, you can push this up a little bit closer. But for now, this is where I'm going with it. It doesn't really play nice on these body lines where you've got a step. So that's going to have to be done by hammer and dolly. But like I said, let's try it out. I got to tell you, that tool does a really good job. I mean, it really smoothed that out, especially on the back side here. Now, I've still got those imperfections where I drilled those holes, but I really like the way that turned out. I really like the way this corner has turned out. So I'm gonna keep going.
Hey guys, so we'll go ahead and speed up this video. I'm gonna give you the highlights. So right here, I'm just working the bottom of the door flange with the door skin hammer, and you can really see the benefits of the door skin hammer with that angle on it. It would be very difficult to get a regular body hammer in here at the bottom of the door without hitting the door frame. So I'm just using the Crossman dolly and working my way across. One thing that I did differently, I only folded this over to about 60%. And, on the side, I went ahead and actually finished that out with the hammer and dolly, and then I ran over with the DS1000. On the bottom here, I'm only doing about 60%, and now I'm getting ready to run the DS1000 over the bottom flange and tighten it up really good. One thing that you notice right now is that flange is, you can tell it's setting a little proud of the door frame, and you can also tell it's a little bit wavy. So here I go with the DS1000. It's a little tricky to start on the corner, but then as I start it, and being very mindful about keeping a little bit of an inward angle on it, and I'm just letting the tool do the work. This is just like a hammer, just hammering it down multiple times, and you just want to go slow. It's a little tight area there where it's up against the door frame, so just taking my time as it's coming across. I'm just being really careful so it don't grab the face of the door skin and cause a dent. There's some indentions there along the bottom of that frame, and so it's, like I said, it's just a really tight fit. But here we are, we're almost finished. And you'll see what a difference once I pull away from it that DS1000 makes. And right there is the shot. It's really a good look. And it's really flat. I'll go ahead and I'll run over it one more time just for good measure. But that first time there, running across the bottom, it looked really good. Also, the flange on the bottom of these door skins are a little larger than what you typically get on the sides, so I'm not really having that dimpling problem where I've already drilled my holes.
All right, guys, we might be getting ready to mess up something here. This is the machine gun tool right here. This is made by Killer Tools, and it's called a door skinning tool, obviously. But you're supposed to start with this at a 45 and work your way up around the door. And I'll have to pull it out a little bit so I can get to it. And take more. Go half turn. It doesn't like this step here. It's not a bad tool. I mean, I kind of like it. I still think I like the DS1000 better. I'm gonna go over it with the DS1000 and just see what happens. So I'm gonna give you a close-up of how this flange looked. I had a little bit of an issue right here, but you could easily file this, and you know, that's where it starts to fold over. It's pretty tight. Comes down. I did split this right here as I did on the other side just to help it fold, and it did good. I didn't have as much trouble. There's a little dimpling right there from that hole there on the face of it, and then you can see right here, you can see what happened here. The frame was setting in a little bit, so this got that mashed just a little bit, and that's where that step is too. It feels really good on the bottom side. We're getting ready to flip it over here in just a minute. Right here's the bottom. Again, that turned out really good, and look how nice that cleaned up. I do the same thing with a roll lock, but that just made quick work of it. Like I said, they're 80 grit, they're made by Grit, 20,000 RPMs. You can put them on a die grinder. I believe I got them from Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. So this here's what I was talking about, where those holes was, and you can see just ever so slight little dent. Probably hit it with a hammer right there inward, and hopefully it would open that up. We'll probably fix all of that with a file, because it's just right on the edge. You can see again right there, and if I hadn't have drilled those holes in it, that wouldn't have happened. That other side over there is probably going to be a little worse. This was just a real low area when I got the door skin, but you can see this edge looks really good. And there is a little distortion in there, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, some blocking and some high build, maybe even some poly would take care of it. Again, right here, hopefully the camera's picking that up. You can see a little bit of an indentation right there, and it basically transformed right there on the edge. You can see it. Again, that's not bad right there. A little worse on this side than over there on the other side. And if those holes would have been a little bit more forward, it wouldn't have happened. Now this here probably needs to be filed just a touch. We didn't even touch that. That's factory from the stamping. Man, now I almost feel bad that this is a junk door. But we're going to practice on this door with a few things. Like I said, this corner would need a little bit of work. So how about that? We got the first skin under our feet, and I feel like I got a little bit more information about the tools without jeopardizing our project. And now I'm ready to commit to the door skins on Project FastTimes and Project OverKill. I was kind of sweating it because at $700 and some a door plus shipping, that adds up real quick. It feels good to be working back on my Camaro again. You guys be sure to check out Sammy's project, Project Sally. I think we've got 2 more videos left to release on that project, and then that series is done. And like I said, it's one that I'm real proud of. I'll say this, I started editing the first couple for YouTube, and then I realized that this was really something special for Sammy, and I realized that she would have those videos forever. I kind of started editing them for her, and that's kind of why they really went up in time, just because I decided to leave most of everything in on those videos instead of editing them for YouTube. And that's just going to be something that she's going to have from now on. And like I said, please go check that out. It was a really fun series and something different than what you would see on this channel, but it's worth the watch. I think for now what I'll do is we'll get Project FastTimes passenger side door on the table. I'm going to go ahead and skin it. Again, just getting one more practice door under my belt. Then we'll commit to the NOS door skins. And I won't show you the whole thing on those for Project OverKill. We'll hit the highlights, then I'll show you getting them back on the car. We'll get our door dolly out that we built several years ago and put it back to work. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. Subscribe if you hadn't. We'll see you on the next one.